Welcome to a special Jace Media Music video interview. I am your host, Justin Smollison, Jace contributor from across the pond, and I am so excited to present an interview with Zack Be and Graham Robertson, 2/3 of the jazz rock fusion trio Last Seen Alive. Their debut album is coming out on March 6th, 2026. It is called World Class Pep Talk, and we are going to talk all about it. You are hearing a clip of one of the lead singles, which is called Mad News Travels Fast. We're going to talk all about this song. I couldn't get enough of this album. It is a roller coaster of sounds. It's a cacophony of sounds, but there's so much controlled chaos in it. I absolutely love it. So we're going to have a great time. And please, if you get a chance, if you like what you hear, be sure to support them on the day of the release through Bandcamp on Bandcamp Friday. Support Last Seen Alive, and you'll be richer for it. Your ears will be richer for it. All right. So without further ado, let's get to it. Jace Media music audiences worldwide, please welcome Zack Be and Graham Robertson of Last Seen Alive. All right, we are joined by Graham Robertson and Zack Be of Last Seen Alive. Graham, you play sax and you perform some of the effects, and Zack, you do the keyboards and the effects. Is that right?
Yeah.
Excellent. And I gotta tell you, so we were talking before we were rolling. I'm more of a rock metal guy, but I've got a vast jazz collection, and this music, if I look at just a trio with sax, keyboards, and drums, I'm intrigued. But I am admittedly a little bit skeptical, and you blew away all expectations. There's so much happening, and I'm able to follow it all, and there's so much variety that I felt compelled to get you on the show here. So congratulations on a really wonderful debut. It's called World Class Pep Talk.
Yeah, thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
I think, that was part of the intention with this collaboration. We both have really wide-reaching, eclectic music tastes.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely both of us grew up with a heavy dose of prog rock, and I think that shows in the material. But
Yeah.
I mean, just because there's a saxophone, I don't think it necessarily is our sound is something that fits into the jazz mold. I like to take an approach to the instrument more just like I bring all my influences to it, and not just like this very specific vocabulary of jazz and stuff. Even though I'm a huge jazz nerd as well.
Now, in the lead single, or at least the first song that I heard, was a song called "Mad News Travels Fast." I believe it's the quickest song on the album, and for good reason. And normally I don't even watch the videos, but the video is great. And anybody who's ever worked in a marketing or an office environment could totally relate to that video. And Graham, start us off. What size sax is that?
It's a baritone. Yeah. So
Big instrument.
yeah, I mean, I mainly play alto and baritone, which are they're in the same key. So if you play one, it's fairly easy to switch to the other. And I play a little bit of tenor now as well. But yeah, baritone's a big instrument. Honestly, every time I play it, people have a reaction like they want me to play it more. But it is you got to put a lot of wind through that thing.
Yeah.
A lot of work. You got to lug it around everywhere. But it's worth it because it's got a really fat sound, and I think we got Zack in the mixing really helped us get an awesome sound out of it as well on the record.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was one of those people that was pressuring you to play more baritone. Like
I know.
the whole beginning of this was you were mentioning, Justin, that like the sax, keys, drums doesn't sound like the kind of thing that would be heavy or rocking or something like that. But my favorite thing in music is the challenge.
Yeah.
Right? My number one favorite challenge is what's the most noise you can make with the fewest amount of people. So starting with 3 people, that's already, and then make it even harder. Make all the instruments not the ones you would think that make the most sound, at least in like a rock kind of environment,
Right.
and then try to push it there. And part of that was I had seen Graham play the baritone multiple times, and we'd also spoken multiple times about other bands we like where the sax takes the lead but goes through effects and like is really expansive and really heavy. And I just was like, I gotta get you doing that baritone as the almost like in my mind trying to solve the problem of how do you make that trio loud. The
Right.
baritone is like the chugging, gent guitar, like it could be kind of thing, or like a baritone guitar. I mean, there you go. But like it's that chugging sound, but it's a sax, and then it's also can go up into the high leads that Graham does all over the record. Like what an exciting thing to do. And the keyboards also can go
Yeah.
really low and be the bass. So it's like you actually have all the components there.
Yeah.
That's what struck me about it. I was very, I don't want to say it like in a snobby way, but I was really impressed by the fact that you were able to not, I don't want to say pull it off, but you were able to execute it. You were able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you did it throughout the entire album. And there's so much variety on the album. Mad News is kind of like, for lack of a better word, that's like the rocker, like almost the punk rocker in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the quickest one. And it's got to be a tough one for you to do. Your drummer, Sean, also no slouch there. He's going, I don't know how many BPMs he's going, but he's going pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, we brought Sean in sort of through a mutual friend. He was recommended, and neither of us had ever played with him before. I think we were sort of both kind of tangentially aware of some projects he was in.
Mm-hmm.
But we just brought him into the studio, and man, the guy had really done his homework. I mean, he had already shedded all the tunes and came super ready, and yeah, obviously he's got really killer chops.
Yeah.
And knew exactly what we wanted too. I mean, Mad News, I've told him specifically that I was looking for something like these kind of Lewis Cole style break beats, almost like a drum and bass track, but acoustic. And immediately he put a very small cymbal on top of his snare drum.
Is that the one that's cut?
What's that?
Is that the one that's kind of cut in the video?
No, actually, yeah, he just plays a real trashy crash. That's
Okay.
but he put a little cymbal on top of his tom, I think. And so he's able to get this really clicky, chaotic sound where he's playing the cymbal like it's another snare drum or something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we both immediately were like, I think that was one of the first tracks we recorded, and we were both so stoked.
Yeah. No, that's a great one. And now, forgive me because I can't always remember the names of the songs. I know them as what comes after this, but the one that goes that's Leave Nothing for Tomorrow, right?
No, that's Honor Lies and Honest.
Honor Lies and Honest Call. Okay, that one's got the heavy organ there. That's a really another Fast and Furious one. It's a longer song. Tell us a little bit about that one because I love it. Apologies that I screwed up the title of the song.
No. Yeah, I mean that one. We should probably tell you how this whole project came together because I think that will answer your question.
Yeah.
The way that this project came together is I have a friend named Garrett who plays on another one of the songs that we just released a video for. Better to Be Alone Than in Bad Company.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he's on that song is in part because he's like somewhat the impetus for the whole project. He's a friend of mine, former roommate. I officiated his wedding. There's a whole thing going on there between us. But he was coming to DC for his own project to play a show. And he had done that a couple of times and asked me multiple times, could I open for his thing that he was touring? And I never had anything. And then this time, I was like, you know what? I am going to do it because Graham and I have been talking about this sax thing a little bit. But we only had 3 weeks to pull it together. So a lot of the songs, like at least 5 of them, I think, 4 or 5 of them, we just kind of pulled together in the 3 weeks, like wrote them, made demos of them, practiced once, I think, and then went and played the show, and were extremely loud and chaotic, but it was a lot of fun. That's what you want at a live show. And then in kind of the couple of weeks after that, or months after that, like banged out a few more songs and went very quickly into trying to make a record. And this particular song was on the back end. It was one of the ones we wrote later. But at that point, we already kind of had the idea of like, how do you get that crazy sound, right? You get the sax either as the baritone, or in this case, it's an alto, right? So this one's, is that right? Or did we do both?
Yeah, I think I have both recorded on here because also I'm doubling the bass.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So at that point, we had figured out that like, if you do the synth bass, it's got the super low fundamental and all of this disgusting grit to it. But if you add the baritone on top of that, it does take the place. It sounds totally different, but it takes the place of the guitar bass kind of like chugging dichotomy.
Yeah.
And then you add on top of that this like soaring lead. And then we're saying, how do we be kind of interesting, proggy, math rocky? It's just another one of those riffs. It's just banged out really fast, and there it is on the record.
Amazing.
So just to say that the quickness that you're thinking of, I think, is like a reflection of how the whole project came together. The songwriting is mirroring how fast we forced ourselves to just make enough music to play a show, and then make enough music to make a record.
Right. And maybe that's the best way to go when you feel like you have some sort of deadline, or let's just call it external pressure, for lack of a better term. But you've got the drive to do it, right?
totally.
Yeah.
I think Jack White is really fond of the idea that like limitations breed creativity. Like, the worst thing for creativity is the idea that like you can do anything. Like you have all the time in the world, you have all the options in the world. And I think but Zach and I are both big fans of the idea that like that kills creativity, and actually the best thing is like you're saying, deadlines, limitations, and all that stuff really brings out creative solutions.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And then, I have spoken with some rock trios, and I've asked them each one of them has a slightly different answer. Is it harder or easier to write and make music as a trio? Because sure, you've got one less cook in the kitchen, so that's one less opinion in there. But then again, you've got one less player bringing ideas to the table. So it's a balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it was even more because we brought in Sean, really with all the drum parts being already written. I mean, there's really just two cooks in the kitchen
Okay.
as far as creatively. I mean, Sean, of course, like made some incredible contributions to the record, but that was kind of like post hoc,
Right.
like on the front end, all of the compositions and stuff was just me and Zach, and uh, and you're right. It felt like a lot of pressure for me. Zach is like really uh he is really prolific. Like he can write songs just like
Oh, wow.
like very quickly, and I have fewer. So but it was like you were saying before, Zach, that you like challenges. I mean, I appreciated being pushed like that. Zach would send me a demo, and I immediately felt the pressure to like, okay, let's do it this afternoon. I'm gonna cook up a new one.
Right.
Yeah. To me, everybody works differently, but to me, the best advice I ever got on this was actually about writing. Because I was at a talk where they were discussing writing science fiction, and there's like a couple of very famous sci-fi authors who have written books together, and the question came up of like, okay, if Jerry Purnell and Larry Niven are writing a novel together, like how do they do that? Because they both have such expansive creative minds and perspectives, and without any weight, Niven, who's a very famous like award-winning science fiction author, he said one person has to be in charge and like eventually make the final decision. And I was like, God, it's really interesting. And on a song per song basis, I think it's the best way to work. Like somebody has an initial idea and a structure and like does the work of putting forth like, here's a thing.
Here's the template.
Here's a template and here's an idea. And then the crucial thing they have to be able to do is like let go and let the other people that they're inviting to be on it just do all that, like do the editing, like really like let go and be creative on top of the scaffolding you've already made. And we were doing that back and forth with each other, and then with Sean also. So it's like one or the other of us would send a song with all the scaffolding. let the other person do whatever melodically or creatively, tones, whatever it was. And then when you bring in Sean kind of towards the end to play the drums live for real, kind of like say, this is the general vibe, this is the beat. But then also, Sean, we're describing him. I'm viewers or listeners might imagine him as like, I don't know, like a genius with like, you know, like a tight collar pulled up and like, you know, but actually he's like a living kind of tornado of music. He like lives it. He walks into the room and he's walking in rhythm, you know, and he's very funny. He's like embodying the music rather than being hyper intellectual about it. So even though he
Well, he's
knows
also
his
like a
shit,
crazy, busy gigging musician. So like,
right,
he's in the
right,
room. He probably just got off a stage, 20 minutes
right.
before, and he's like pulling random cymbals and snares out of the back of his car, and that kind of guy who's just in demand all the time.
But what I would say is that means he's hot, like he's warmed up all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he comes in and sits down, and we're like, this is kind of the vibe. We were thinking this, and he just immediately starts playing the part. And Graham, and this is for like Mad News. Graham and I were both like, oh, that's the part. Yeah, it's
That's
good.
excellent. So are you guys classically trained musicians? Did you go to music schools and things like that?
You go first.
I took music theory in high school and took some courses in college, but I never went to music school. Um, I as a saxophone player, it's pretty hard to be a saxophone player without having some formal training. Just the
Right.
instrument really lend itself to like experimentation without any guidance. You kind of have to know something about music and music theory and keys and scales and stuff. So, I have a very good foundation in that, and I keep pushing myself in that direction. I'm definitely a nerd when it comes to all that kind of theory stuff. Um, Zach, I don't know the answer to this.
Mm.
For-
I'm a mystery. I'm an enigma. No, I as a child, I learned the clarinet.
Yep. So did I.
You know,
Yep.
which actually is like one of my biggest regrets in life is that I didn't learn the trumpet. I wish I had learned the trumpet or something at that age. I'm sure I could do it now, but like it's a big regret that I learned the clarinet, which now at least most of the way I operate is useless to me. But the point is, I had like I guess classical like concert band training as my first like way into music when I was in like third grade.
Mhm.
Moved on to guitar, moved on to bass. But by the time I got to high school, I and I also took private violin lessons for a while also. So
Wow.
I built all those kind of skills and whatnot. But by the time I got to the end of high school, I had kind of fallen off of the music training, and I got really into production. And then I kind of flipped over from thinking of myself as a musician who's like specializing in a particular instrument more to like someone who's most interested in production, like the actual music production part of the whole thing. And the music side of that is I need to be good enough to get my ideas out on whichever instrument is nearby to like make the record happen. So then that was actually the impetus to get good at keyboards, which is what I'm playing on the record. But I don't have any formal training in keys at all.
Wow.
It's completely just uh, because I wanted to be able to make lots of interesting, weird noises on records I was making. I figured out how to play the keys. And then there was another level to that, which was once I got out into the world, and Graham knows this really well. Once I got out into the world of actually playing gigs, I like playing gigs. It's fun. And uh, regardless of what I said before, and it's really fun. And you get a lot more gigs if you play an instrument like a keyboard or a bari sax as opposed to a tenor sax. There's just more opportunities to hop on stage and do something unexpected because everybody plays guitar. All of those people also hypothetically play bass, although mostly not well. And then there's drummers
Right.
and singers.
I gotta insert one thing here. I can't believe, Zach, you got through that whole thing without mentioning that this guy is a mean banjo player. He plays
Oh, really?
hammer style banjo. If you go to Zack Be's Instagram, Zack Be, you will see lots of videos of him covering all sorts of different stuff on banjo, and Yeah, I mean, Zach's like a jack of all trades.
Do you think that in any follow up to Last Seen Alive, we might hear him bust it out with the pick and all that?
Ironically, with the getting into Last Seen Alive, the thing we were talking about first was like I was talking about doing a band with banjo stuff, and my favorite artist probably ever, just in terms of how much I listen to him and how much I like his music, is Bela Fleck, who's like the world's most famous banjo player, and he's very expansive in his musical language. He does bluegrass, of course, but he also does jazz and like fusion and like all kinds of world music. He just released a record last year, which is really good, which is him and a harpist and Antonio Sanchez on drums, and it's freaking wild. It's really
I
good.
saw them live at North Sea Jazz Fest, and it was fucking great.
No,
I should go. They're coming to Baltimore, so I should probably go, but to that show. But he's probably my favorite musician ever, and a big part of his Flecktones project is the sax. Banjo and sax with bass and drums. And I don't necessarily want to do like the jazz fusion version of that because I'm not good enough to do that. But there's definitely room for that kind of project. With the atypical instruments and like how do you figure out how to make a whole show out of more atypical instruments there. Graham and I were talking a lot about that. And then this Garrett thing came up. And so we did Last Seen Alive. And
maybe they're the same thing, though. I think Justin's, making a good point.
Maybe I'm onto something.
Run that banjo through some effects and stuff. Put some distortion on it.
That's right.
It's kind of, in a lot of ways, it's like you're both, you're musicians, of course, but it's like you're Foley artists at the same time. And you've got to add all these elements to the sonic quality of the music to make it stand out. And I think that's what really appeals to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zach's production on the record really kind of showcases that mentality. We have some stuff on, like, some little Easter eggs hiding all over the place on this record that are just strange. Like there's an intro on Leave Nothing for Tomorrow, right? No, it's on
it depends what you're talking about.
It's on Rights and Wrongs. There's an intro where I sent Zach a beatboxing thing because I just wanted to give him the idea of what I wanted for the drums, because Zach's much better at programming drums than I am. And instead he shot me back a version where he like sent my beatboxing thing through some effects and made it into the drum beat itself. And we didn't end up using it throughout the whole tune, but it's like on the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so we have all sorts of little nuggets like that where we're kind of thinking more expansively, I guess, about the different pieces.
And it's to your point about the artistry. And like, to me, the production realm and the live show are two completely different art mediums, even though you might be playing the same song in principle. And all the fun of production is doing weird stuff like that.
Right.
Just, and by the way, if you listen not closely to Rights and Wrongs, you'll just hear kind of like a bit crushed drum beat. But if you listen closely, it's track 3 on the album. If you listen closely at the very beginning, it's actually really obvious. You'll hear Graham breathing because he's trying to like catch like breathe as he's doing the beatboxing noise. And again, if you listen all around the record, you'll hear all kinds of stuff like that.
There's plenty to. You can zone in and you can zone out, and you'd still get a really fascinating listening experience. Truly unique from a lot of the other stuff that I listen to. So that's why I thought it was really, really cool that you did it. Is this an independent release?
It is, yeah. We did. We shopped it around a little bit to some labels. This is like this is now going to be releasing 3.5 years after this project was born.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years after we finished recording it. So we went through a period where we were kind of shopping it around and trying to see if anyone would take a bite. But it's hard out there these days.
Yeah.
As a label, and I think especially with your first release, you got to get some. You need a sort of proof of concept under your feet. I think for any label wants to take a big bite. I wouldn't be opposed to working with a label on a future release if that were to come about. But yeah, this one is just us.
Well, let me just make a quick plug here. The album comes out on March 6th, 2026. Now, that is Bandcamp Friday, and the album will be available on Bandcamp. So that's the perfect time to support Last Seen Alive. And, financially, especially if they're not going to be playing any shows just yet. And then hopefully that'll get them on their way to either the attention of the right label or to funnel that into the next album. So I can't imagine that with all of this creativity on this album that there weren't good ideas left on the cutting room floor that you could pick right back up and move to the next one. Am I accurate in that? Or am I in the ballpark?
I feel like we traded some voice notes and stuff. I could dig up some old voice notes where I think we have some extra little nuggets that we could work with. But it's hard getting this guy's attention as well.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of different projects. He is he's a licensed therapist, a college professor. So I will take that as a as direction to try to light a fire to get some more stuff out.
Okay.
I think the goal would be actually. It's interesting you say. I wonder if there's things left on the cutting room floor. There's probably a few ideas that happen, but that whole thing we were talking about of like just the fast ethos of like we got to get enough to make a show, make a record, get done. I think we just used every idea.
Oh, really?
Like we did every idea right up to like, and now that's a record. Like that would fit on a vinyl, sure. Just done,
okay.
And that's a record. But then that, it's like, in my opinion, like ideas are a dime a dozen. It's like there's a million. Kind of like Graham was saying before, I can like quickly make a demo. I think that there's just low anxiety about it being any good. Like just make whatever. And it'll either get rejected or not. I don't care. You just make it, and then it's out there. Or like, even if out there just means between you and whoever you're making music with.
Right.
But,
well, like we said, it comes out March 6th, independent release from Last Seen Alive. And Graham Robertson, Zack Be, it's been such a pleasure. Don't go anywhere just yet, but it's been such a pleasure to meet you. I wanted to meet the men behind the music. You released an excellent album, and I'm going to be listening to it on a loop for a while. And as we may have said earlier, anybody who's ever been a desk jockey, anybody who's ever worked in Midtown Manhattan at a crummy temp job or something like that, put on Mad News Travels Fast. And even if you don't watch the video, just hearing it will make you reminisce on times where somebody has put some sort of wild, possibly inexplicably mean deadline on you, and you gotta churn something out, because that is the sound that I didn't realize I was hearing in my mind, and now you've put a tune to it. So
anxiety made into sound. Yeah,
it's like a roller coaster. So just want to congratulate you on a really wonderful record, and I look forward to whatever you do next. Special thanks again to Graham Robertson and Zack Be of Last Seen Alive. At the top, you heard Mad News Travels Fast. During the middle of the interview, you heard Honor Lies in Honest Toll. And right now, you are hearing a clip of Better to Be Alone Than in Bad Company. This is also a single, and all these tracks are off of the brand new independently released album, World Class Pep Talk. Now, this album will be released digitally on March 6th. You can place pre-orders at Bandcamp, and it happens to be Bandcamp Friday that day on March 6th. So help the band out, show them some love. There's other links on this interview show notes for digital pre-saves, and you can also find them on lastseenalive.com. I've also got links to their socials and their YouTube page, and it's just a fun listen. I think if you're into the songs that you heard during the interview, you're going to love the rest of the album. Always remember to make legitimate purchases of music, merch, and tickets if you are lucky enough to see them play, and help support hardworking artists like those in Last Seen Alive. Folks, head on over to the revamped jacemediamusic.com page. We've got reviews, we've got interviews, we've got all kinds of great music coverage. Check out some of my recent video interviews with my all-time favorite metal singer, John Bush of Armored Saint and Category 7. The drummer of Category 7 and Shadows Fall, Jason Bittner. Guitar heroes like Herman Frank of Victory and Soren Anderson, guitar player for Glenn Hughes. I've got a brand new interview with Meridian, a fantastic metal band out of Denmark, as well as Fate's Warning singer Ray Alder, DK Ravel of Kickin' Valentina, and members of Temptress, Avatarium, Captain Blackbeard, and more. Special thanks, as always, to our fantastic founder and publisher, Glenn, and all of my Jace Media colleagues. And of course, special thanks to you, the worldwide Jace Media music audience. Look for Jace Media on Facebook and X and Instagram and basically every social media channel you can think of. I am Justin Smolison, proud Jace Media contributor from across the pond. Thank you again for tuning in. Keep coming back to jacemediamusic.com. I've got more video interviews on the way.